So another video popped up this morning and more dogma. Cole from the Snake Diet, you guys know who he is, made a video about people being fearful of insulin. And I think there are certain creators of certain groups and stuff like that and meal plans and ways that they want people to live life that kind of somewhat have to be dogmatic in a sense. But you know how Cole is. He's loud, obnoxious, swearing, regurgitating information that's already been put out by other medical professionals that he did not study on his own. And that's the same way with most of us. We only have information that's being put out and used, and we have to use it to engage our agenda, right? But I don't really care if people like me or not, or care if they like what I have to say. I just say it, and I'm sure he's kind of the same way to that extent. But the video was talking about insulin being, feared. And to an extent, I can see some of that, but the biggest majority it's not. It's just talking about reduction of insulin so you can, start burning more of your own adipose tissue instead of taking in too many sugar and carbs that spike insulin that cause you to storing fat, to start storing fat. And I made it through the video, surprisingly. Normally I cut the video off whenever I see them pop up because I don't like all the swearing and stuff like that. But it was a little bit of nonsense in the video, honestly. He was talking about how ketogenics is catabolic, and that being on a ketogenic diet is not a fasting mimicking diet, that you should just go ahead and fast, and that's what you're completely wrong. I mean, he's obviously got to support his cause as the snake diet guy or whatever, right? But again, I've been hesitant to even make these comments on some of the stuff that I've been seeing from him lately, just because of the fact that he's such a loudmouth when it comes to this, that I don't want to have to deal with his crap. But I thought lately, why not start speaking out about everything? If you're talking about the bad information the vegans put out, why not talk about the bad information that some of the carnivores and stuff put out as well? Which that is the case. I started this journey at almost 400 pounds. I got down to 250. I bulked back up to 290. I'm back down to 282 right now, and I'm cutting again. And I keep going through this cycle. I've been going through this cycle for the last few years. But to say that ketogenics is catabolic and you can't really build muscle off of it and stuff like that. And in his video, he keeps reusing the same terms about basically eating excessive amounts of protein turning to sugar in your body, which is not the truth at all. Some of us, the majority of us, can eat a ton of protein and never have it spike our glucose a substantial amount, which like me, for instance, I did that video on Facebook where I went live and I ate 2.5 pounds of meat in 20 minutes, and my glucose went up 10 points and then fell back 12 points. It was lower than when I started. So this whole G&G, eat excessive amounts of protein, turns to glucose, and then in turn spikes insulin. It's not necessarily true, and we're all finding the more we do our own testing and we look at our own subjective journey, we find that we're completely fine. And then the misconception that just because you're on a carnivorous diet or you're eating a higher protein style keto, that's the reason why it's not catabolic, is again another falsity. There's some people that don't even eat a lot of protein on keto and they're still able to build muscle, and it's very muscle sparring, very muscle preserving in that aspect. And Cole has to basically represent from all sides, so I get why he's talking bad about the ketogenic diet, but the information he's putting out is not correct. I mean, this has been several times now that he's done videos on stuff like this where it's just been crazy, way out there, not true at all. It doesn't sound like he's done enough research on it at all, or he really cares to do enough research on it, like he's going to believe what he wants to believe anyway. The answer to everything is just not fasting to make yourself skinny again, like he says. But I think some of the information he puts out is really, really good. But then I also think there's another big part of the information he puts out where it's like a little kid just yelling and throwing a temper tantrum, and some of the information is not even close to being correct at all. So I mean, I guess it is just to each their own. I'm making this video to support my cause, which is don't be scared of what you're doing. You don't have to quit what you're doing on a standard ketogenic diet just because Cole says that it's catabolic and it's not healthy for you and all this other stuff. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He knows about fasting. That's what he knows what he's talking about. He's got no medical background. That's it. I mean, I remember back in the day when he first started his keto group, not keto group, his snake diet group, and I came on. I was offered on by somebody that was in his group that really liked the information I was putting out and said, why don't you come to the group? So I came to the group, and somebody was asking for help, and there was nobody around to answer, and I answered a question. And it was like, God forbid I should answer a question, because now one of the admins stepped in and said, well, this is Cole's group, it's Cole's recommendations, and that's just that. What? Whatever. You must be getting paid, because if you're not getting paid to be that serious and monitor the group, then you probably got problems. But I was removed from the group because I made a very good, honest recommendation, and I think it had something to do with food in general and keeping insulin low because of certain things. But that's beside the point. I've had issues with Cole since he came out. I've been doing this for almost 15 years now. The snake diet is not anything new. He's added some things to it, like baking soda. But my parents have been fasting for 16, 17 years now, with sodium and potassium in their water and using types of bone broth and things of that nature. So this is nothing new. It's just somebody came along and finally put a name on it, and that's how it ended up taking off. It's nothing new. We've been fasting for thousands of years for illness and treating different issues and losing weight and things like that. Somebody just put a name on it, and that's what they got known as the Screaming Snake Diet Guy. And people love it. People love the attitude. People love how just outright, just open he is. I honestly thought the video he made about degrading women and stuff like that would have got him kicked off YouTube, but they let him stay. I've never seen somebody sit on the screen for so long and degrade women in general. And somehow he stayed on YouTube, so I guess the censorship really isn't that bad. The guy's he's out there, and I get it, but how he talks about keto and how unhealthy it is and stuff like that is just ridiculous. He absolutely knows nothing of what he's talking about. He's got no medical experience. He's got no business talking about keto. Yes, I'm still overweight. If he sees this video and he wants to I really don't care. And if you want to be that petty and use that to your advantage, that's fine. But again, he has no knowledge of keto. He hasn't lived the lifestyle. He's regurgitating bad information about, too much protein turning to sugar and GNG and all this other stuff. The guy's not very bright when it comes to that, honestly. He knows about fasting and what he does, but then he starts talking bad about other people. So I'm here to say, Cole, if he talks about keto, don't take his advice. He does not know about it. He's not smart when it comes to it. He knows about fasting. That's what he knows about. And that's that. That's my video. So be careful with the Snake Diet Guy videos on keto, because they're not very accurate.